Rama Rama Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Baba Girivare Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Baba Girivare Hari Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Premananda Hari Hari Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai So yeah Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tatam jayam udiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan, Rishi, the supremmost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master and founder Acharya. Nama Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nivasesha Sunyavadi Paskita Dusatana. So, this is Canto 2, Chapter 6, and the name of the chapter is Purusha Sukta Confirmed, and this is verses 43 through 45. I think this is near the end of the chapter. Yeah, there's one more after this. So, I'm going to read the one that's on the board, and then we can try to chant it together, and then I'll do the other ones, and then we'll read it and see if there's anything to talk about. Okay. Aham bhavo yagna ime prajesa aham bhavo yagna ime prajesa dakshadayo ye bhavet adayas cha Dakshadayo ye bhavat adayascha Dakshadayo ye bhavat adayascha Svarloka Pala Kagaloka Pala Svarloka Pala Kagaloka Pala Svarloka Pala Kagaloka Pala Nirloka Palas Talaloka Pala Nirloka Palas Talaloka Pala Aham bhavo yagna ime prajesa Dakshado ye bhavat adayascha Svarloka pala kagaloka pala Nirloka palas talaloka pala Aham bhavo yagna ime prajesa Dakshadayo ye bhavat adayascha Svarloka pala kagaloka pala Nirloka palas Talaloka pala Anyone else like to try?
Aham bhavo yagna ime prajesa Dakshadayo ye bhavat adayascha Sarloka pala kagaloka pala Niloka pala sthalaloka pala
Aham bhavo yagna prajesa Dakshadayo ye bhagavat adayascha Svarloka pala kagaloka pala Niloka pala talaloka pala
Okay, so the other verses are Gandharva Vijara Chalanesha Ye Yaksha Ye Yaksha Raksoraga Naganatha Ye Va Rishinam Rishiva Pitrinam Daiken Yendra, Siddheshwara, Danavedra, Anjecha Ye, Preta Pisacha Bhuta, Kujmanda Yato Mriga Pakshi Adhisa. Then there's one more. Yat Kincha Loke Bhagavan Mahasvad, Ojo Sahasvad, Balavat, Shamavat, Shri Hri Vibhuti Atmavad Abhutaranam, Tatvam Param Rupavad Ashvarupam. So we'll just do the word for word for the verse that we did. We don't do all of those. So the last word is Pala. So it's good. Okay, let's see. Okay, Aham, myself, Brahmaji. Baba, Lord Shiva. Yagna, Lord Vishnu. Ime, all these. Praja Isha should say, the father of the living beings.
The father of the living beings.
Daksha Adaya, Daksha Marichi Manu, etc.
Daksha, Marichi, Manu, etc.
Yea, those. Bhavat, yourself. Adaya, Cha, and the bachelors. Sanat Kumar and his brothers. It's interesting they're being called bratsos. Svarloka Pala, the leaders of the heavenly planets. Kagaloka Pala, the leaders of space travelers. And then there's Nirloka Pala, the leaders of mankind. And then Talavana Pala, and the leaders of the lower planets, and then it goes on. So I'll read the whole translation. It's 3 verses, I think. And anyway, I myself, Brahma, Lord Shiva. So it's I myself, Brahma. This is Brahma speaking. I myself, which is Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, great generators of living beings like Daksha and Prajapati, yourselves, Narada and the Kumars. So he's talking to Narada and the Kumars at this point because he says yourselves. I knew Narada was there, I didn't know the Kumars were there. Heavenly demigods like Indra and Chandra, the leaders of the Burloka planets, the leaders of the earthly planets, the leaders of the lower planets, the leaders of the Gandharva planets, the leaders of the Vidyadhara planets, the leaders of the Charanaloka planets, the leaders of the Yakshas, Rakshas, and Uragas, the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists, and the great spacemen, as well as the dead bodies, evil spirits, Satans, jinn, Kujmandas, great aquatics, great beasts, and great birds, etc. In other words, anything and everything which is exceptionally possessed of power, opulence, mental and perceptual dexterity, strength, forgiveness, beauty, modesty, opulence, and breeding, whether in form or formless, may appear to be the specific truth and the form of the Lord, but actually they are not so. They are only a fragment of the transcendental potency of the Lord. Should we all try to say that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, alright, so we'll do it. All right. Well, I just wondered what the verse was before. See, Karanakshai Vishnu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he is the master of the eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Karanakshai Vishnu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Okay, so I'll say, then you repeat. I myself, Brahma,
Brahma,
Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, great generators of living beings,
great generators of living beings,
like Daksha and Prajapati.
like Daksha and Prajapati.
There's an unembodied voice back here. Oh, there it is. Yourselves, Narada and Kumaras,
Yourself, Narada and Kumaras,
heavenly demigods,
heavenly demigods,
like Indra and Chandra,
like Indra and Chandra,
the leaders of the Burloka planets,
the leaders of the Burloka planets,
the leaders of the earthly planets,
the leaders of the earthly planets,
the leaders of the lower planets,
the leaders of the lower planets,
the leaders of the Gandhara planets,
the leaders of the Gandhara planets,
the leaders of the Vidyadhara planets,
the leaders of the Vidyadhara planets,
the leaders of Charnaloka planets,
the leaders of the Trivaloka planets,
the leaders of the Yakshas, Rakshas, and Uragas,
the leaders of the Rakshasas and Uragas,
the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists,
the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists,
and the great spacemen,
and the great spacemen,
as well as the dead bodies,
as well as the dead bodies,
evil spirits,
evil spirits,
Satans, jinn, Kushmandas,
Kushmandas,
great aquatics,
great aquatics,
great beasts and great birds, etc.
great beasts and great birds, etc.
In other words, anything and everything
In other words, anything and everything
which is exceptionally possessed of power,
which is exceptionally possessed of power,
opulence, mental and perceptual dexterity,
opulence, mental and
perceptual dexterity, strength, forgiveness, beauty,
strength, forgiveness, and beauty,
modesty, opulence, and breeding,
modesty, opulence, and breeding,
whether in form or formless,
whether in form or formless,
may appear to be the specific truth
may appear to be the specific truth
and the form of the Lord,
in the form of the Lord.
but actually they are not so.
But actually they are not so.
They are only a fragment of the. They are only a fragment
They're only a fragment
of the transcendental potency
of the transcendental potency
of the Lord.
of the Lord.
So if we remember from the very beginning of this conversation between Brahma and Narada, Narada is asking, "Are you the supreme creator?" And Brahma's been explaining to him, "No, I'm the secondary creator. There's someone beyond me." And then he's also pointing out that everyone else that appears to be exceptional in some way or another, they may appear that way, but actually, no, they're not. Actually, they're all dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Those in the list given above, beginning from the name Brahmaji and the first living creature within the universe. Was it Paul?
Yeah.
Can you turn the page for Prabhupada on that? Thank you very much. Paul's visiting from Atlanta. Where was I? The first living creature within the universe, down to Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Narada, and other powerful demigods, men, supermen, sages, rishis, and other creatures of extraordinary strength and opulence, including the dead bodies, Satans, evil spirits, jinn, aquatics, birds, and beasts, may appear to be the Supreme Lord, but factually none of them is the Supreme Lord. Every one of them possesses only a fragment of the great potencies of the Supreme Lord. I found it interesting, it says dead bodies. Jinn are in the pre-Islamic Arab world. They're considered, they're neither evil nor godly. They're just, they could be either or, and they're like ghosts or, very subtle, mysterious personalities.
Like the one that Aladdin and the jinn from coming out from it.
What's that?
It's Aladdin, that magic lamp.
Yeah, well, he's a genie. Yeah, it could, actually.
Probably it came from that word gene.
Yeah, genie, yeah, right. Yeah, they have, there are, like, the 400,000, I heard Siddhartha Prabhu once describing all the different species, and he was saying the 400,000 species of human beings, they're not here all on this planet. Although some human societies on this planet are different species from one another. But he said that some human species are ghostly, but not ghosts. Although ghosts can be considered a human species as well. But they're like the Apsaras and Gandharvas, they have very subtle bodies. And so the jinn, obviously, they're also in that category. The dead bodies, I'm just, at first I thought, well, maybe they mean zombies or something, but I don't think that's what it means. I think, like, there are people that in different societies, they worship the dead, you know.
Ancestors, yeah.
Yeah, their ancestors.
Yeah.
And, like, and also then, in, like, say, even just like among men, that, like, in the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, they had Lenin's body preserved and Stalin's body preserved. They were worshipping that. So there's different times when people, they worship dead bodies and they preserve them for quite some time. There's many Aboriginal cultures all throughout, like in the South Pacific and South America and around the world, where they, you know, like mummies, you know, they find these bodies, they mummify them. That's another example of dead bodies. So, the less intelligent man is surprised to see the wonderful actions of material phenomena, as the Aborigines are fearful of a great thunderbolt, a great and gigantic banyan tree, or a great lofty mountain in the jungle. For such undeveloped human beings, merely the slight display of the Lord's potency is captivating. A still more advanced person is captivated by the powers of the demigods, and the God-advanced persons is captivated by the powers of the demigods and goddesses, demigod and goddesses. Therefore, those who are simply astonished by the powers of anything in the creation of the Lord without any factual information of the Lord himself are known as Shaktas, or worshippers of the great powers. The modern scientist is also captivated by the wonderful actions and reactions of natural phenomena, and therefore he is also a Shakta. These reactions to natural phenomena, the modern scientist is also captivated by the wonderful actions and reactions of natural phenomena, and therefore is called a Shakta. These lower grade persons gradually rise to become Suryas, or worshippers of the sun god, or Ganapatyas, worshippers of the mass of people, as Janata Janardhan, or Virida Narayan, etc., in the form of Ganapati. And then rise to the platform of worshipping Lord Shiva in search for the ever-existing soul, and then to the stage of worshipping Lord Vishnu, the super soul, etc., without any information of Govinda, Lord Krishna, who is the original Lord Vishnu. In other words, some are worshippers of race, nationality, birds, beasts, evil spirits, Satans, etc. It's interesting in the Bhagavatam, it's actually Satans are being mentioned. The general worship of Shanideva, the Lord of the distressful condition, and Shanideva, he's in charge of Saturn too, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of distressful condition. Sitala Devi, the goddess of smallpox. Well, everything has a person in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is also common to the mass of people, and there are many foolish men who worship the mass of people, or the poor class of men. So different persons, societies, and communities, etc., worship some of the potent manifestations of the Lord, wrongly accepting the powerful object as God. But in this verse, it is advised by Brahmaji that none of them is the Supreme Lord. They are only borrowed plumes for the original Almighty Lord Shri Krishna. I mean, nationalism is a kind of what they're talking about here, where you worship a certain race as opposed to another thing, another race, you know. But what's interesting, this phrase, borrowed plumes, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with Prishni. You know how Prishni will stop me and say, do you have time for some question? I just read this thing from one of the devotees here. She makes garlands. And she's always coming up and says, do you have 1 second? I just read this nice thing about Prabhupada. And she was describing how that Prabhupada says that if you're very proud, say, of the way you sing in kirtan or play the drum, you have to be careful not to, you realize that whatever you have is all coming from the Supreme Lord. And don't, think that if you become falsely proud and not remain humble, it can be taken away. And so it reminded me, I said, somewhere in the Bhagavatam, I remember reading an expression called borrowed plumes. And here it is. The next day, I see these talents that we get, or opulences, or assets, are borrowed plumes. I was referring it to, but I couldn't remember where it was, and then Krishna revealed it to me. That borrowed plume, like I say I borrow someone's silk chadar, and I'm wearing it, and everybody's going, oh, that chadar is so nice, you look so good in that chadar. Well, thank you. It's not mine. It can be taken away like that. I'm not that chadar, and not only am I not that chadar doesn't even belong to me, it's borrowed. So, everything that we have, although we do all have personalities, and we all can sing and dance and so many other wonderful things, but it's all covered over right now. And this is the process of uncovering who we really are. So, where was I? Borrowed plumes from the original Almighty Lord Sri Krishna. When the Lord advises in the Bhagavad Gita to worship Him alone, it is to be understood that worshiping Lord Krishna includes worshiping all that is mentioned, because He, Lord Krishna, includes everyone. When the Lord is described as formless in the Vedic literatures, it is to be understood that all these forms mentioned above, within the experience of universal knowledge, are different exhibitions of the Lord's transcendental potencies only. His transcendental potencies only. And none of them factually represents the transcendental form of the Lord. But when the Lord actually descends to the earth, or anywhere within the universe, the less intelligent class of men also mistake Him to be one of them. And thus they imagine the transcendence to be formless or impersonal. Factually, the Lord is not formless, nor does He belong to any of the multi-forms experienced within the universal forms. One should try to know the truth about the Lord by following the instructions of Brahmaji. It's a lot to take in, but it's what we have is like this amazing. It's like some story where they find this map, and it's going to tell you, oh, look at you. Yeah. It's a catering service. So I don't have to worry about it at all. Krishna took care of it. So, people find this map and they go, well, if we go this way, we can do this and see that, and then we see this. And then the map has these, descriptions that, if you're going to follow this map and it's going to take you to this place, to this treasure, you have to develop this kind of an attitude. In this case, it's the service attitude. You have to be humble. You have to be tolerant, respectful. Don't expect respect for yourself. In other words, what's happening, we're in the material world, and we don't know where we came from, and we don't know where we're going. And the human form of life is the one form of life that we have the opportunity, we have the intelligence to find out. And the only way to find out who we are, where we're coming from, where we're going at the time of death, is by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these books give us all that information. How But there's also not only just to read the books, but they also describe how to read them and what kind of mood and attitude is required to properly understand, and then how to go about entering into the search for the self and the search for the kingdom of God. This is what this process is all about. It's like the greatest, what was that? The one where the guy's an archaeologist and he goes around...
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, it's the greatest Indiana Jones story of all. It's got all the elements of, it's got jinns and it's got dead bodies and it's got ghosts and all kinds of living entities that we never heard of or have, at least in this lifetime, had any dealings with. We may be dealing with some of them, sometimes we don't even know it, but we're so dull. So all of this, though, everything around us is the creation of the Lord. What Brahma's saying here is, everything here, like in the Bhagavad Gita it says, for those, Krishna says himself, here's Brahma speaking on behalf of the Lord, but Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna, Krishna himself tells him, those who see me everywhere, and that know that everything is my energy, and that I'm in everything, I'm all-pervading. They are never lost to me. They see me everywhere. So this is a way to learn how to see the energies of God. Like right now, the wind, which is air, is very powerful right now. But what is the source of it? How would you describe what air looks like? We know air exists. It's completely invisible. But we know it exists. And just take it away and you suffocate. Or you feel the power of it. I saw this really bad, when I was a kid, it was a really bad, like one of these, not even a B movie. It was like on black and white TV or something. I'm really young. I have a very vague memory of it. And this guy is, somehow he lands on somewhere, another planet or another time, one of those stories. And he can see, he has vision, but nobody else can. They're all blind. And he says, I can help you all. But they've actually decided to be purposely blind, apparently, with eyes, that is. And because having vision creates envy. That was the after a big cataclysm war, they decided to put out their eyes and not have vision, because they didn't want to be envious of each other, see who has the most of this or that, and just accept people for who they are. So, and they don't want, and he's saying, oh no, I can help you all, I have vision. Okay, well tell us, what does air look like? And you can't, it's invisible. We can feel it, we breathe it, so what's the use of your eyes? If you say you can't see it, it's very important, you can't even describe it. What does our mind look like? Well, it's these things, all of these different questions they're asking like that. So, but we understand that the power of the Lord is all around us, and it's just a fragment. It overpowers us, like this storm that comes by today very quickly. It may actually cause where we may, I'd like to say, but electricity may be affected. And we do so much in civilization to create electricity. All of the problems that we have right now in international affairs is based on the need for electricity and a fuel to transport ourselves. We have to, and in order to have enough electricity, and in most powerhouses, I don't know right now, but I imagine I know that in Germany still, in some parts of the world, coal is still one of the main fuels used for generating electricity, but there's other things that are necessary. We have to dig deep into the earth to get these things. They're great risks of our lives. We have to fight wars over getting all of these substances that help us to generate power so that we can see, so that we won't be cold. But meanwhile, Krishna has a planet called the Sun that is generating light and heat for billions of years. It never diminishes. There's never been a blackout of the Sun. It continually is providing us light and heat. There are places on the planet where, because of your karma, you have to live in 6 months of darkness, or it's very little, so it's very cold there. But most parts of the world, we have this gift of having sunlight. So what we need is, though, when it's night, when it moves away from us, or we move away from it, however the story goes, we have to generate light. And what do? And we have to. And when the seasons change, when the sun isn't warm enough for us, we have to generate heat. But Krishna's arranged it so that he's the sun energy. When we, like, in other words, if it was sunny today and the sunlight was in the room, we'd say, the sun is in the room. It's not the sun. The sunlight's in the room. It's not the sun is in the room. It's the sunlight. If the sun were in the room, we'd burn. But Krishna also stores the energy of the sun in trees. It goes down into the earth and helps the trees and the plants to grow. But the sun that energy is stored in wood, in trees. You light the tree, you have fire. Fire, you have heat, you have light. Coal is compressed wood and plants over many, many centuries. Is a little pocket of energy, of sunlight. Sunlight is stored all over this place by God. It's all His energy. No, our arrangements are not so sophisticated or subtle. He does it without any effort. And the wind itself is a source of power. Wind power. Sun. Now we want to get solar power. Then water. Hydroelectric. That's most of our generators are hydroelectric. You need the power of water. All of these things are part of Krishna's energy. And he says it's a fragmental portion of himself. So whoever's controlling these things, they may temporarily look to be that they're the ones in power and control. But in fact, they are borrowing plumes from the Supreme Lord. So it's nice to know what's really going on around us and not to get confused. And the real purpose is not to just try to find a comfortable situation within this material world, because whatever we do, and no matter what we arrange, it's temporary. It's a passing moment in time. And the whole point of this journey that we're on is to find out how we make this death, because we're all going to die, make this death the last, so that we actually go on living. We actually will go on living. It's just a question of whether or not we live in bliss, live in knowledge eternally, or we go back into the cycle of birth and death, where we're ignorant and we suffer. We get moments of pleasure, but namely the pleasure is just the release of suffering. So this mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, these books, this movement, these deities are giving us the opportunity to succeed in life. And Lord Brahma is describing all of these great personalities, all the demigods, all the energy, all the power of the wind, the power of the sun, all of these things are all the fragmental portion of the Lord. And He's the source of everything. Anyways, any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you. All right, don't worry, there's room for you out there. Don't worry, come on.
Everybody take one step forward.
Yeah, one step forward, we have yes. Plenty of room. That's what it was like in Atlanta this weekend.
I know it's like that.
Well, they had 800 people come for this festival.
Wow. It's the Festival of the Holy Name?
No, it was, that's going on next week in New Orleans, next weekend, Friday, Saturday,
Oh,
Sunday.
really? Wow.
But it was the 50th anniversary of Jayapataka Maharaj's taking sannyas,
Oh, okay.
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a vow 50 years ago and he kept it.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, when husband and wife make a vow, to get to 50, that's like a golden moment. Everybody's the golden jubilee. Well, and to make a vow in this life, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, chanting 16 rounds, and go away. That's actually what a human being does. It's difficult though in this age, because this age, everything's working against, you're going against the tide. And once you declare that, I vow not to, then all of a sudden, oh really? Well, take a look at this. How about that over there? You know, you'd be amazed how many Satans and Maya Devis are out there, just working overtime to make sure you're really sure about whether or not you want to keep those vows. And if you want, but the point is that if you make a promise to a spiritual master who's representing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you better keep it.
Yeah.
You can make a mistake and be forgiven, but don't take advantage. Don't continually make the mistakes. I heard someone said once that success is, despite all shortcomings, you remain enthusiastic. You don't become depressed. It's like when a child is learning to walk and he falls down. Oh, he'll never walk. That's impossible. Look, took 2 steps and he fell down already. No, you get up and you keep walking. You keep walking. And in the beginning, you innocently may make mistakes. But so anyway, and then also it was actually, we calculated that it's the 50th anniversary of ISKCON in Atlanta, which is an amazing, when you think about it in those days, the Hare Krishna movement in the middle of the Bible Belt. You know, this was deep in the South, and there was no, just 4 hours north of us, around 1972, after I got there, there was some devotees in Knoxville doing a little preaching center, and they threw a Molotov cocktail, 2 of them, into the apartment, and one brahmachari, a friend of mine, he passed away. He burnt. 90% of his body was burnt. For some reason it skipped up, the flames skipped over, and another person was partially burned, but there was 4 of them laying there. One was completely burned from here, from the neck down, and the next person skipped over and hit the next person. He was burned partially, and then the 4th person went back into the rest of the building. So, you know, it was there's danger at every step. And actually we found out later, many years later, that it was actually a mistake that wasn't necessarily thrown at us. But still the point is that when you're attacking Maya and her kingdom and Kali, and he has many assistants, greed, pride, envy, lust, always trying to work overtime 24/7 to distract us. And also, like, if everybody were to take to the Krishna conscious movement or to change, you know, the status quo, that's always, people feel threatened by those things. They're envious of those things they don't understand and feel threatened by. Although now they realize we're harmless, you know. So I'm not harmless, but we're not. I misspoke. We are a threat to their way of life, but not in a bad way. It's in a good way. So, and it's not a violent thing that we're doing. So it's 50 years of being able to stay in one place and worship the deities and chant Hare Krishna, and then Jayapataka Maharaj is his sannyas. He's actually, it turns out, they did research. He's the oldest living Gaudiya Vaishnava sannyasi right now. And So that's a big accomplishment. So it was really ecstatic.
Yeah.
It was a real nice festival. Okay, man. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All
Sure.
glories to the assembled devotees.
Sure.
Hare Om.